When I think about the journey of an intuitive empath, I think of the heroine's journey, a journey that strikes down to the core of the most challenging themes that come along with incarnating on the earth, a journey that is most certainly not for the faint of heart. The path that the intuitive empath walks is fraught with obstacles, setbacks, and heartaches. Over and over again, she will encounter those who seek to take advantage of her, dim her light, and take her down. She will face loss, betrayal, and if she's anything like me, she may even have a brush with death. And while she may not realize it until close to the end of her journey, this path she walks is a sacred one. Each one of the struggles life presents her offers a unique opportunity to heal the karma created across eons of time, all the way down to the ancestral lines of her soul that was sent here to clear. She must learn to keep choosing herself, leaning into her gifts, and practicing discernment, and most of all, she must never ever give up hope. If she allows hope to leave her, her light will go out, and she will fail at her mission. The effect this would be devastating for humanity. That's how important the intuitive empaths are to Earth's ascension. And yet they must often incarnate into the most challenging families in order to fulfill that mission. My name is Kimberly, and I'm a lifelong spiritual medium, trained in trauma release expert, who specializes in helping healers, intuitives, and empaths, the so-called starseed and light workers on the planet today, to answer their sacred calling, to be in service, guided by them in transmuting their deepest pain into personal power. I've walked the path that you walk, beginning with an abusive childhood with an alcoholic father and unloving mother, which planted me in the seeds of viewing myself as broken and not good enough. Sensing spirit always came naturally to me, but my religious upbringing and my father's view that women were stupid and worthless made it impossible for me to be truly myself and accept my gifts. Thankfully, I had loving grandparents whose house I often escaped to, where I would hide under my grandmother's beautiful quilts and feel safe for a while. But they weren't able to protect me from the suffering and the traumas that I'd come here to experience and eventually transcend. As a teenager, I worked 3 jobs to cover my basic needs and to save for college, where my studies of interest were psychology, business, and law. I ended up going through hairdressing school and became a sought-after Aveda trainer, which brought me into the contact of all kinds of people who were dealing with a wide variety of issues and challenges. I began to understand what kind of world we were really living in. Growing up around addiction made me attracted to a husband who had the same problems as my father did. I tried to save him, as empaths often do, but it was pointless. My soul contract with him had to do with bringing in my first son. In 1992, my beloved Greg died in a car accident that I could see coming. I had practically raised my brother, and his loss was beyond heartbreaking to me. I didn't know how to grieve, so the pain nearly took over my life. I became a mother at 26. I felt God had given me a new lease on life after the loss of my brother, an innocent soul to nurture and love unconditionally, and something so positive as I attempted to navigate life under the same roof as an alcoholic. 6 years after my marriage ended, I entered into a new relationship with a man who also had a child from a previous relationship. My second son was conceived, and when I wouldn't move with him to be near his mother and family, as I really didn't feel it would be right to separate my firstborn son and his dad. My ex-husband, my boyfriend, asked me to abort our child. I refused, and our relationship, which by then was long distance, came to an end. My second son was born a preemie. I had spent several weeks in the hospital. It was a very scary time, but we made it through, and I found myself once again single, juggling work and family and the responsibilities the best I could. As my children got older, I began to feel that I had a different and more spiritual calling. I applied myself to studying all I could about healing. I hung out my shingle as a holistic and spiritual therapist and began using my gifts of mediumship and my newly acquired skills of timeline healing. Like the lotus pushing up through the mud, I knew I was destined to continue my personal healing journey while serving others who were suffering, although I didn't foresee how much darker my life was about to get. The empath-narcissist dynamic of the twin flame path soon made itself known to me as I met my next partner, who I knew from a past ancient Egyptian life. He forced me to shut down my healing practice, and I began to take over my life. Being held at gunpoint as an adult and thinking I wouldn't make it was pure terror. I wouldn't wish that upon anybody, but I escaped and lived to tell my tale. This is what I meant by when I say I've been to hell and back. I certainly have. I have seen some of the darkest things you can only imagine, but I've come through the other side. I've lain in bed next to a dying cancer patient. I've held her in a safe, sacred space, combing her hair, holding her hand. I've also held a safe and sacred space for rape victims. I've counseled teenagers whose friends committed suicide. There is nothing that scares me anymore. And for that reason, I am able to help empaths break free from the traumas and can take a hold of the psyche to help push the energy into healing that trauma space back into heart. This includes the challenge of the twin flame path. I'm able to see your soul contracts, help you dissolve the blockages that are keeping you away from coming into union, and pave the way for that to happen and support you and your ancestors on the other side. In order to become someone who can deeply help others with your intuitive gifts, you first need to heal your own wounds. Whether these come from your past lives, your time in the womb, your childhood experiences, and/or traumas that you've been through as an adult, it all needs to be brought back to Heart Center and transmuted through the love and light of Source. I'd like to be your guide, holding the light for you to follow for the type of spiritual self-care that all empaths, but especially those who want to be healers and intuitive, need to engage in. Now is your time to become the phoenix rising from the ashes. I invite you to join me in overcoming your suffering and liberating your soul, reclaiming your innocence so that you can help others to reclaim theirs. I want you to know how important you are, and that no matter how dark things may seem, there is always hope.